Hello denizens, and welcome back to Starsector. I'm Dire Penguin, glad to have you with us today. I'm sorry if the audio isn't quite as good today. Due to scheduling conflicts, I'm having to record this in a backup situation I have with my portable microphone instead of in the studio setup I have at home. So I apologize for that. The audio quality may not be quite as good. It might be a slightly less clear, and I'm sorry for that. But hopefully next week I'll be back in the studio. Where we left off, we had our first, what I would call a proper engagement for the fleet we've been fielding. We had assault cruisers, we had destroyers, we had support carriers, we had support cruisers. It was a good fight. And I'm looking for more of that. So what I've been working on doing is getting up enough of a fleet that I feel like we can start doing some forays into, maybe go over here to visit the Cindrian Diktat and start flying through some of the space owned by the Tritachyon. As you can see, the Tritachyon Corporation has these systems up here, or at least stations in these systems up here, Hybrasil and Valhalla, as well as Magic. Nobody owns any territory around Penelope Star, although apparently the pirates are at least prolific there. And another system we may want to go visit is this Eos Exodus. I haven't seen any of the Ludic Church's more advanced ships. I haven't seen any of their destroyers. I haven't seen any of their cruisers or their carriers or their battleships. It may be pretty exciting to go there. I don't know. But I'm kind of looking forward to potentially visiting there. But at this time, I don't know whether that's a good idea. I think we may want to go over to Asconia first and see what ships we can buy in the Cindrian Diktat systems. But I might actually get our first cruiser before I do that. We've been able to get a carrier. We've gotten a couple destroyers now. I played a little bit off camera, and I got our third destroyer. I got one of the Sunders, and I'm not entirely happy with the way this is outfitted because I didn't feel like I had good weapons to go in the mounts that were available. So I'm going to be still shopping around for some additional weapons to put on the ship because I feel like we haven't fleshed it out the way that I want to. My only option here was pulse lasers here, and this generated a lot of flux, as well as my center large beam weapon. I had to only fit a medium because I couldn't find a large energy weapon to mount. So I want to modify this, but I have to wait until those weapons become available on the market. And it's actually probably worth looking at real quick here to see if we can get a large weapon mount. Well, there was nothing worthwhile mounting on that ship, so maybe we'll find more over in the Cindrian Diktat. I imagine they carry different weapons than we have available here, and I kind of want to go see what I can find there. See if I can find some very good weapons that I can't seem to find here. And I suspect that problem is only going to get worse as we get some of these larger ships. I haven't seen very many large weapons. I've also considered getting this Onslaught battleship. It's a juicy ship. It's 375 ordnance points. I mean, that's probably the sum of all of the ships I have in my fleet. I imagine it is so expensive to keep this thing running. Where does it have somewhere it has 500 crew just to keep this ship operational, and we currently are taking 581. I can't imagine bringing this ship along. It takes almost a supply a day, so it would double our supplies per day, but golly, this ship is awesome. I haven't actually run it. I could run a simulation with the ship, and I might want to do that. But one thing to note on this ship, and this is really interesting, and I didn't notice this before. If you look down there, it has the ability, and it has the weapon mounts, but then it says weapons, 2x thermal pulse cannons. It looks like this ship has some weapons that are permanently part of it. They actually aren't weapon mounts. You can't choose what weapons go in there, but I imagine the trade-off for not being able to choose is these are probably pretty powerful weapons, and you kind of get them for free? I don't know. I would be tempted to maybe off camera go ahead and buy this, although I'll have to get a little bit more money before I can do that. But go ahead and buy it just so I can see when you first go to fit it, does it already have flux generation? I don't know. I really don't. And I also don't know what this collisions can cause a flame out while the system is active. in the ability here for the burn drive, where it seems to go to like ramming speed. And I don't know what a flameout is, but there's that. It doesn't sound like it'd actually be all that good, but maybe this ship is maybe that's what the thermal pulse cannons are very good at. Maybe at extremely close range, it's kind of that overwhelming damage at close range that you might get, as well as I imagine just the sheer number of weapon mounts available on that is pretty overpowering. But we're looking at possibly getting the Eagle cruiser today. And this is going to be a bit more expensive to run. Obviously, the maintenance cost per day is relatively high. 30 days out of the month, it's going to cost 22 supplies. So that's what, a 0.8? I'm not even doing any math, I'm just guessing. It takes 150 crew. It also has 161 ordnance points. That is a lot. That is definitely a lot. Right now, our hammerheads have 89, and the Sunder has 106. So being able to pack in 161, I believe it was, ordnance points is a lot. And this ship is kind of in that same vein as the Hammerhead, and where it's that tankier ship. It's got a large shield arc, 270 degrees, not quite as high as the Hammerheads, but I fully intend to mount a shield extender on it to get us an extra 60 degrees of coverage. But it also has that lower shield flux per damage, which allows it to take a lot of damage. Now, it is very slow. It's definitely slower than some of these other ships. Like the Sunder is relatively fast at 90, whereas this ship is 46. And the Onslaught's even slower at 25, but we're going to ignore the Onslaught for now. The maximum burn speed is 8, and we're already limited there by our carrier. Also has a maximum burn speed of 8, so we're not going to be slowing down on the map any. That burn speed is how fast you're traveling on the map. I think we're going to go ahead and do it. It's going to take a lot of our money, and we're going to possibly not be able to outfit it quite as well as we might want, because we're also going to have to buy some crew here. We're currently 180 over, and we're going to have to buy a little bit there just to get us a little bit further. And we may want to get a captain for this cruiser, because we've run out of captains to stuff in these ships that we're getting. We are now the proud owner of a cruiser. So let's take a look at this cruiser, and without putting a captain in it, let's see what we can get this ship up to. Back in a few moments. Oh wait, before we do, we have the 14th Battle Group mod on this ship. Okay, so we have higher armor, as well as higher capacity and flux dissipation, but we have a reduction in the speed and maneuverability. So we're probably going to want to put a captain in this that can offset that deficiency. Alright, so here's what I came up with for our Eagle. I'm not sure whether this is a good design or not. We'll kind of find out, I guess. I've added 2 more hull mods to the ship. One is the extended shields to get us that shield arc fully up to 330 degrees. There's only a very narrow arc there in the back that won't be covered. And that should really help us out if we need to retreat or anything like that. In addition to this, I have an integrated point defense AI, which what that does is it allows all small non-missile weapons to automatically target incoming missiles. This allows me to put tactical lasers here that have a long range and do relatively decent damage for their flux on the target, but what these can do is these weapons can switch and then target incoming missiles, and they will do that automatically. If there's missiles for them to shoot, they will switch and they'll become point defense lasers. Pretty cool. Cost us 12 ordnance points, but I had that left over, although I could have added more vents and capacitors. We might swap that out, I'm not 100% sure. Our frontal armament of these 3 medium ballistic weapons are a heavy needler, which is good against shields, a hypervelocity driver, which is kind of good against both. It's good against shields because it's got long range and it's kinetic damage, but it also carries some EMP damage along with it. Pretty cool. In addition, this heavy mauler is, of course, a high explosive, long range, chunk through their armor. I have a point defense laser up front, just that last ditch, shoot them down. It's only got 400 range, but, you know, should help us out if we start taking some missile shots from the front. Again, these tactical lasers can also shoot down missiles because of our integrated point defense AI, but by and large, they can shoot frontal targets as well as any targets on our sides. Now, here is an ion beam, which is just doing EMP damage. I want to shut down whatever target I'm shooting at. So in addition to our hypervelocity driver, we also have an ion beam doing that EMP damage. I want to shut down the weapons, I want to shut down their engines, I want to shut down their shields, whatever I can get to get an advantage. On the sides here, I have graviton beams, which are also kinetic damage. This means I want to keep their shields down. If they bring those shields up, they risk overloading. I want to shut them down as quick as I can. And then on our sides, I have missiles, high explosive missiles. These are guided missiles. They aren't as high damage as our Tropos missiles on our speedy little frigate, but they have significantly longer range, about twice as much range. So hopefully those will work out for us, but we only have 3 shots in each. So, not as nice maybe as the Atropos, but the Atropos we have on the frigates only have 1 in each. So this is a total of 6 missiles, and I currently have those set up to be linked. In our back, we just have some long-range point defense lasers, just to try to help out, cover that little bit of a gap we have behind us to prevent missiles from being able to charge up our butt. All right, let's run a simulation against another Eagle. We're just going to go against the standard Eagle class assault cruiser, and we'll see how we do. I've already run this, so I know about how this goes. We have pretty long range on our anti-shield weapons, slow turning rate on those though, and then of course our missiles have some pretty long range as well. So let's go ahead and bring up our shields. Now you'll notice we have plenty of flux dissipation, but as we get within range here, he will rapidly overload, and you notice this laser starts shooting down his missiles. Okay, so at this point he's overloaded, and now he's going to start taking EMP damage if that asteroid wasn't in the way. What I want to do is I want to get around that asteroid. Accidentally brought down my shields, sorry. I want to get around that asteroid. I want to see if I can close with him here, because I'd really like to use my missiles against him. Let's back up. So he decides to go ahead and get closer to us, because we're not fast enough to catch him. So let's back off. Vent. And once he starts coming for me, I'm going to start heading toward him, raise my shields back up. And he's going to be aggressive. That's just the way the AI is. I want to close to a closer range because I have those kinetic weapons that are very good against shields. I'm going to go ahead and fire my missiles at him. Hopefully they get there. They did not. But we go ahead and shred. So we are very effective at making targets run from us. We're not necessarily the most effective against taking targets out, but that's okay. This is kind of that ship of the line. It needs to be an anchor point for the destroyers to be able to come in and do that kind of glass cannon damage. That's what I'm looking for in this ship, is protect our carriers as well as be able to go toe-to-toe with a large enemy capital ship, at least insofar as being able to hold that ship's attention, as well as potentially do some heavy flux damage to the target to keep them suppressed, if you will, and then maybe bring in some of the other ships to be able to do that heavy damage to the armor. But that actually went a little bit slower than the previous fight that I did, the previous simulation, but that gives you an idea of how this ship performs. Again, I didn't have the best selection of turrets here. Some of these I really didn't have much of a choice on. But for now, I think this is a good step for us and will help us to be able to head deeper into enemy territory without as much risk. And I think that's what we want to do next. So I'm going to go fly over to Asconia, and I will see you there. Oh, one thing we forgot to do was to level up our character. Once again, we're now level 30. I believe we were level 19 the last time we tried to level up. So we have 5 aptitude points available to us. This is pretty cool because if we wanted to, we could go all the way to level 10 in combat. Do we want to do that? Well, we don't actually get a tremendous amount for combat level 10. We get plus 50% missile damage for the piloted ship only. Sometimes I'm flying the destroyers or some other ships, but lately I've just been in the frigate, and it doesn't have that many weapons, and it doesn't have that many missiles, so I'm not sure how valuable that is. We also get an additional ordnance point cost reduction for small, medium, and large weapons for all ships in the fleet. Now this is very, very, very significant. Having 4 less ordnance points per large weapon is pretty significant. Some of the ships also pack in, 10, 12 weapon mounts, so we might be seeing, 15, possibly 20 extra ordnance points just from this skill alone. This appears to be repairs in combat, that you can repair up to 50% of your hull just in combat, and you repair any damaged systems faster. You can also take more damage to your shields. Again, that's only piloted ship. Most of these are only piloted ship. You have doubled armor strength. You can also have some flux and still get your speed boost. This can be potentially game breaking for us because we have that time slow down skill. So if we were faster and we had that skill and possibly had our shields up as well, that's pretty significant. We'd at least be able to get that speed boost to catch up. And then once we started using our weapons, of course, our flux would go over that 25%. But until that point, we would have additional speed that we could take advantage of. And then we also have additional flux dissipation. I haven't seen a phase cloak, so that may be because I haven't taken the appropriate technology, but that's right now just going to be flux dissipation. So of all of our skills that we can learn here, all of these are for the piloted ship only, except for this one skill. And it's such a good skill. Increasing the ordnance points available to your ships allows you to pack those larger weapons, lets you put more fins on, more capacitors, more hull mods. It's great. I would love to have that. I just don't know that it's worth it when that's the only skill that's going to be for all ships in the fleet. So if we had a primary ship that completely outclassed other ships, or if we were at this stage in the game still operating with a very small fleet, maybe, say 3 ships or something like that, then this line would be very, very good. But we're entering into the phase of the game, I suspect at least, where we are no longer the one destroying most of the ships. It's going to be the ships engaging with our destroyers and our cruiser doing most of the work. And we could pilot that cruiser ourselves because we do have additional maneuverability on ourselves. We have both the plus 50% from helmsmanship as well as the plus 75% from evasion. But I don't know if we want to do that. That ship is so slow that I've been enjoying being fast and nimble. And maybe I'll step into a destroyer, but I don't know that I would necessarily want to go straight for that cruiser. These other skills, and particularly technology, already gives you more ordnance points. And in addition to that, I believe there's this one right here gives you more ordnance points, as well as this skill right here gives you even more ordnance points. So potentially, if by skipping this, we can still make up for the absence of those skill points in that one skill by putting points into technology and these other skills. So let's consider what else we could get. Obviously, we only have 5 aptitude points, so if we put them all into combat, we would not be able to put any more aptitude points into technology, so we couldn't get any of those skills to level 5. If we allow ourselves to get technology to level 5 at least, let's see what we can get with that. So I took a look at this outside of just kind of off camera because I was taking a long time and I wanted to speed it up. There's 2 skills right here that are really useful for us. 100% increase in marine effectiveness. That sounds pretty cool. I want to board some ships and see if I can't take them. As well as making do. It requires 50% less crew to take ships into combat. I've been spending a lot of money on crew. Like, a lot of money. I have 800 crew right now, and if I only needed 400, that means I can probably go buy that battleship and not even buy any crew. That's pretty cool. I'm thinking I'm going to split my points here, take leadership up to level 5, and then bring up technology to level 5 as well. I'm going to go ahead and just bring all these skills up to level 5. Well, I guess I don't have to do that. Yeah, let's reduce the supply use. That's pretty cool. 3% per skill level. Skill points are relatively cheap to come by. Go ahead and do that. And we also want to bring all of these to level 5. That's going to give us a chance to repair disabled friendly ships after battle. It's going to give us extra hull integrity as well as a front shield emitter, which I believe is going to allow us to put shields on a ship that normally wouldn't have shields. Now, I don't know what the coverage is. We'll have to see, but still, pretty cool. And then, in addition to that, we're going to have more ordnance points and being able to add the extra flex capacitors. Now, I still have 2 aptitude points. So is there something that we can get for level 7? Normally, these skills won't have any of the effects down below that give you anything for level 7, but you will notice that the hull mods typically will enable something at level 7, such as this flux distributor or the integrated targeting unit. These things sound cool. I want to see what these are. I'm going to go ahead and do that and try to get some of these extra hull mods, just to see what they are. There's no point in doing that. Faster ship repairs. Again, I don't know whether that increases or decreases the cost associated with repairing. Let's go ahead and get our gunnery implants. That's going to increase the effectiveness of our ship. And I want to go ahead and get that to level 5 to increase my range. Since we're, even if we stick with the tiny little frigate, we're heavily range limited. Okay, so I'm glad I actually did that before I forgot. Okay, so we caught up to the pirates, and they aren't actually fielding that much. I'm really disappointed. It says that they have this sizable fleet, and they really don't. Let's bring out these core ships. I guess we'll leave our cruiser unless we need it. I'm really disappointed they don't actually have all that much. They have this close support cruiser, which we've killed a couple of those. They have a few shuttles. That's it. I really think that these pirate targets should represent a more credible threat, or at least the ones with the more monetary value should be more expensive. Whoa, how did he get all the way up there? We have a destroyer, friendly destroyer. No, dude, engage. How did he get all the way up there? I'm gonna see if I can slip up here past these targets and engage with the cruiser. He's obviously going to start aiming at me, but I might be able to at least get him some flux. He's not there. Now he's got some flux. Alright. I'm gonna get some pretty heavy flux, but I want to go ahead and attack him. So he has to stay slow, and we can start engaging with our destroyers. I want to slow him down. I don't want him to be able to run. That's the actual bounty target. So my goal here is to catch up with him and slow him down. Oh, that was bad timing. That was bad timing. That was bad timing. Bad timing. Ooh, just in time. All right, our destroyer is really standoffish. I don't know why. Boop. Disable him, and then our targets will be able to just finish him off. Just come in and shred the guy. Look at that, tons of damage. And then attack him again. Boop. Alright, well that's easy. So really that's my goal with this ship, is to get in range, have them generate some flux, slow them down, tag them, disable them in effect, and then let our other ships close the distance and actually deal the fatal damage. Because except for our antimatter blaster, which brings their shields down very nicely, we only have our missiles to be able to deal the damage. And I could have used them on him, but I knew our destroyers were close enough. Can I get within range of this guy? I don't think so. I think he's right near the top of the map. I don't suspect we'll be able to get within range. Nope, there he goes. Oh well. Alright, let's head out to the Cindrian Dictat star system of Asconia. Okay, this is great news. We're on our way to Asconia, and they have now posted a bounty on pirates in the area. And that's exactly what we want to do, is go over there, kill some pirates, see if we can make them happy with us. Because if we can make them happy with us, perhaps we'll be able to buy more advanced ships from their markets. Although I don't think we can get a commission from them. I don't believe you can hold a privateer's license from two different factions. That just seems like a recipe for disaster. I mean, what happens if they declare war? Everybody turns hostile to you? I don't know that I want to do that. Okay, I'm having a hard time finding pirates here to take on, even though there is a bounty here. Once again, I don't seem to be able to find large targets to go up against. I'm really tempted just to fly straight into Try Tachyon and just start engaging them and see if we can get some large engagements. I flew into the Cindrian Dictat, but of course we don't have a commission, and they had almost exactly the same ships available to them as in the hegemony stations, so there wasn't really much to see there. I'm just going to fly down to Try Tachyon. I'm just going to try engaging with the Try Tachyon fleet and seeing if we can't get into some trouble. Here we go. Here's a pirate armada. I've been I've been flying around probably for about 20 minutes. I've found a few small fleets, 4 ships here, maybe 5 ships there. But now we actually are going up against another one of those heavy assault cruisers, another strike destroyer, another close to support destroyer. This is a little bit smaller than the engagement we had last time, where we actually had, I think, 2 cruisers. This time we're a heavy cruiser, and 2 destroyers. But we also have additional fighters, and I don't believe we actually have any carriers in there. So once we destroy those are gone. We will at least have a good engagement here. So let's go ahead and bring in everything. I don't see any reason not to. It's worth noting that we're actually nearing the limit of what we can deploy, but I want to go ahead and field our full fleet here. And I'm going to bring our 2 carriers in support of each other, and then if I need to, I'm going to order these carriers to follow my cruiser, because the cruiser is very slow and very ship-of-the-line-ish, should be able to protect them. However, for the most part, we're going to be playing the same game we normally do. We're probably going to use our destroyers to try to pick off targets of opportunity, and then we're going to be dipping in and out to try to take out frigates or overload the shields of large targets, because that's what our little ship is best at. So we're going to fly out in front to see what we can see if we can pick off a target of opportunity or 2 if they are spreading out. Typically, I've noticed when they have large capital ships, both sides seem to try to group up around that capital ship. Okay, looks like they took a break and decided to take a comm relay. Okay, we still haven't seen the large ships, but it does look like they are spreading out, so we might be able to engage with the target real quick before we close with those capital ships. Let's see if I can get up on this guy with his shields not pointing at me. Boop. I have to be careful of those fighters. I do not want those missiles to be able to hit my rear end. Alright, well, we're going to take out the fighters. Looks like a destroyer is closing with us. Their 2 main ships are grouped together, so I need to be aware. I need to be careful that these... Let me get my carrier back here. Seriously. I want to make sure that, because these 2 destroyers are getting very distracted over here, and I want to make sure that they're available. In fact, I think what I would like to do is see if I can't move my main cruiser up here, and then as he gets closer, I'll watch these destroyers, and if I need to, I'll order them to get closer. Oh, missed. Alright, he's going to engage us. Go ahead and back up. Just soak up these missiles and vent. That's our destroyer right there. So we have 2 destroyers in the area. I want to tell both of these destroyers to engage with this destroyer. Our other destroyer is where? Here. Looks like he's moving to support the cruiser, which is still kind of in the back, so we want to be careful that we don't get too close to that big beast, which is exactly what it looks like it's trying to do, is draw us in. I'm going to go ahead and fire a missile, see if we can't take out this destroyer very quickly, just to reduce the amount of fire that we have to deal with. Come on, come on. Alright, we got him. Okay, so now, what's going on? Our main what are you doing? Alright, you 2 engage the primary target, and as they get closer, I'll bring in our guys as well. And we've taken out one of theirs, so they still have their strike destroyer and their heavy assault cruiser. Those are our main targets, as would be expected. But I want to wait until our cruiser closes just to make this a little bit less risky. It's very good our destroyers are circling around behind, which means we will be able to flank them, because here comes our main cruiser, our other destroyers coming up. Let's go ahead and tell these guys to also join in, and they're still going to fire on that other destroyer if they can get closer to it, but I want to see if I can't cause these guys to flank. He doesn't have any shields. Alright, well, build up his flux so he can't shoot, and I'm being pushed by my destroyer, but this is, oh, that's just brutal. Wow. Okay. Flanking is very powerful in this game. You might have noticed. Alright, so we have an incredibly slow bomber wing that hasn't managed to get there. Our fighters are going to engage with those guys. I'm actually going to tell this destroyer to go down there and engage him, and then I will as well. Our fighters might be able to deal with him. I don't think we would be able to catch him otherwise, so I'm not going to bother trying to engage with that. I just want to see if I can take out this little assault shuttle here. I believe that's what that is. He's trying to make a run for it. He is actually now within range of my missiles, but yeah, he has shields, so there's no point in me firing that. Get some flux on him, he'll slow down, get within range of my antimatter blaster, send a missile at him, because that's the last enemy on the field, and I think we're done. Yeah, alright. That was mopping the floor with them. They didn't stand much chance. I think what we're going to do, I think we're going to call it here. I've spent a lot of time just flying around and I didn't find much. I think I'm going to have to call it here. And then when we come back next time, we will fly into the Tritachyon territory, fly into hostile territory, and start engaging the Tritachyon in their home territory. This could go badly for us. This could be the end of this series, but we're nearing the time when I feel like we're pretty much able to take on these large fleets. I haven't seen any battleships. I haven't seen any larger ships. Doesn't mean they're not out there, but I'm nearing where I think I'm just encountering the same stuff I've already encountered over and over again, and I kind of want to try out the mods for this game. There are a lot of mods, and they sound really interesting. Adding in additional factions, adding in the capability for factions to take over other territories, adding in AI changes where people that are vengeful with you will now send death fleets after you, things like that I feel like can take this game so much farther. Being able to build your own stations and all that's not in the game currently, but there's mods to add that in. And I want to go ahead and try that out. So I'm thinking of wrapping this series up relatively soon and then dipping into that content and seeing what all we can find there. I'm still really enjoying the game. Golly, I have had tons of fun with this. But I don't want to just get into a grind where I'm just encountering the same foes each time and not progressing any further in the game. And I feel like, well, we can still see the depth of combat and the enjoyable stuff that we're seeing right now with the mods, where maybe we have an increased opportunity to see that type of stuff, as well as explore the things that you'll also be able to see with this game, because it seems very moddable. Alright, I hope you'll join us next time for when we engage the Tritachyon and their home turf, and then I hope to see you in the future when we take a look at some of the mods that are available for this game. See you then, folks. Thanks for watching.